The Top Floor Please podcast, where women in leadership rise together. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, executive coach and founder of the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. This is your space to find clarity, grow in confidence, and lead with bold authenticity. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, building your team, or stepping into new territory, you're not alone. Let's talk real challenges, real growth, and real leadership because the top floor isn't just a place, it's a mindset. Alrighty then, let's get started. All right, so here we are. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different that honestly I have never ever heard of or thought of, and I wanted to share it with you. So, as you know, I live life looking for leadership lessons, right? That's how I walk through life. As every experience that happens to me personally or professionally, I'm always thinking about. Oh yeah, okay. Like the seagulls. I don't know if you saw that blog. When was that? Earlier this year, maybe last year, that I wrote a blog about seagulls because the seagull literally, I mean, you have to check it out, it's on my website. But the seagull actually, I was taking this brownie bite and I had it like right here, and the seagull comes flying, grabs it, and off it went. And everybody just turned and looked at me. We were on the beach on a evening event at a leadership conference and all of us just started dying. And so it led me to how did a seagull, first of all, the precision of the seagull. Sorry, I needed to check, make sure my mic was on. The precision of the seagull that it could just, I mean, literally, it was right here close to my mouth and it just grabbed, it didn't even touch my fingers and took the brownie bite. So anyway, as you know, I do lead or look at life or walk through life looking for leadership lessons. And so this was, I don't know if it was a leadership lesson per se, but it definitely sparked some conversation during the discussion and got me to thinking. And so I'm going to ask for your feedback. So if you're listening to this and you feel compelled to give me your opinion, please do so. Share it in the comments, send me a DM, however you want to get a hold of me. I am super interested in your opinion in this one. All right, so I am Melissa McCormick. I am the host of Top Floor Please, and I'm super excited to have you back listening today to this particular podcast. And it's an interesting one, and it has to do with bringing problems to your boss. Okay, let me just set the stage here. I'm at a client's location and we're getting ready to actually we were in the middle of a disc session, and this was a smaller team. And so typically when I do a smaller team and we talk about disc, if you're not familiar with that, disc is a communication assessment that you take and you learn about your own natural communication style, and then you learn the style of other people, because the whole concept is if I could flex my style to the other person's, I will build a stronger relationship, right? So it's more about the other person than it is about me. Yes, I know that's kind of hard for some of us, but that's what the whole program is. So I'm in the middle of this conversation and we're talking, and it's the boss and five of their direct reports. And it's a small office. And so I'm talking to the boss and I said, just, share with everybody what I want to know three tips. Each person was going to go around and share three tips of what it's that you want your coworkers to know in order to work more effectively or more efficiently with your coworkers, right? So what is that? That could be, well, I'm not a morning person, so don't say good morning to me. I want to be focused on my calendar, and you can talk to me, when I talk to you first, or something like that. That's what I had to learn from my husband years ago when we were first married. We'd get up in the morning. We're early people. And so we get up in the morning and I'm just like, "Bup, bup, 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 bup," and he's like, can I just read the paper? Can I just watch Sports Center or whatever it was at the time, right? He's like, okay, so I don't want you to talk until I speak first. Then you know that I have, that I'm awake and that I'm ready for the day. Or it was when we get home from work and I'd be wanting to go, this happened and that happened and da 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 da. And he'd be like, could I just decompress? Well, that might be you. Like you're not a morning person. Or if another thing could be, don't call me. If you want to talk to me, schedule a meeting on my calendar because I'm very precise with my schedule and I time block everything and I don't want to be interrupted or whatever it might be. So we're talking about these types of things. And the boss said, which is, we've heard this. I've been in the workforce now. I don't even want to tell you how many years, but it's decades and decades and decades. Okay. And I've heard this in pretty much every leadership or management or supervisory training that I've ever been in. In fact, one of my very favorite bosses, he would say this all the time. And that is, if you're going to bring a problem to me, bring a solution, right? How many times have we heard that? If you should be a problem solver. Bring a solution. If you're going to bring a problem, bring a solution. So this particular boss said that. She said that's what, those are my expectations. If you're going to come to me with a problem, please bring a solution. So, we went around the room and I opened up the conversation. Does that make sense? I'm going to guess pretty much everybody knows that. And that works well. Well, this one employee spoke up and they said, no, I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. Because if I'm coming to you with a problem, it's because I don't have a solution. I've tried every solution that I know of. So I'm coming to you for an answer. And I go, wait a minute, what? I've never, ever had anybody say that to me before, ever. Now I'm old. And it was, honestly, it was a revelation, not a revolution. It was a revelation. I went, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about it like that before. And so she was very confused on why we would even think that that was a problem. Like, it wasn't a problem. Like, please don't misunderstand me. It wasn't a problem. It was just different, right? It was a different philosophy. So there's two schools of thought here. There's the one that is, bring a problem with a solution or with a couple solutions, and we can make that decision together. And then the other school of thought that I didn't even know existed was, I'm coming to you because I have a problem, and so I need your help with the solution. Otherwise, why am I coming to you? And so I had explained, I want to talk about the first um, the first philosophy first, which is most bosses will tell you, if you're coming to me with a problem, I want you to bring a solution. Okay. And the reason they say that, so this is what I went through the explanation on. The reason bosses say that is because if a colleague comes to them or in a direct report or whatever looks like in your organization, a staff member comes to you with a problem and you're constantly solving the problems for them, then we condition those employees to not be critical thinkers and to not be decision makers. And we do not empower them to do their job, which is what we pay them for. Right? So I went through that explanation. And so the two people in the room who were on that same train of thought or school of thought, I guess, didn't have any experience with that type of situation. And so they're like, oh, okay, I get it. But here's the thing. We've worked here for a very long time, and I kind of know all of the solutions. And so if I'm coming to you, I have exhausted all of my solutions. So what we did was we came to an agreement with, okay, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely. So if you're going to come to me with a problem, just let me know. Hey, look, I've exhausted everything that I know how to do out of, within my purview or my experience. And so I need your help. So we talked a little bit about the approach, but it was really, really interesting. And so when we do bring a solution with the problem, right? When we have a problem and we're going to bring a solution and you know that your boss requires that, but you don't have a solution, then lead with that. Like, go to your boss and go, I know I'm supposed to bring a solution. I know that's what you want, and that's what I want too, but I don't know. I've gone through every possible scenario or every possible solution that I can think of, and I need your help in order to help me brainstorm so that I can learn. Just lay it out there. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've hit the wall. I don't have anything else to bring. But if you do have a solution or you haven't gone through all of the options, then I want you to go through all the options because your boss, there is something about decision fatigue and they don't want to have to make all of the decisions. So if they have an employee that can come with with the solution or a couple solutions and they just need me to make a choice, so then I can learn what how you would make the decision. So next time I can make the decision and move on and maybe just let you know about it, but I don't have to ask your permission, right? Those are the types of employees that we want. We are all stretched super thin, including the bosses. So let's try to help them as well. So, bring that solution to them or a couple solutions, whatever it might be. But if you have hit the wall and you've exhausted all, um, all you've exhausted all possibilities, then lead with that, right? So, just to button this whole thing up, but I do want to hear your feedback is I want you to do your homework. Number one, I want you to do your homework. I want you to frame it collaboratively, right? I can't fix this. Here's what I've tried to do. Here's where I'm stuck. Here's where I need help. Here's where I'd like your perspective. Those types of things. Be sure to match that message to the boss's disc style or whoever you're speaking to. So if they're a D, they're a direct communicator. Be sure to speak in bullets, right? Get to the point quickly. If they're an I, they're going to want ideas. They're going to want, engage them in brainstorming. If they're an S, show your appreciation for their input. And if they're a C, start with the details. Come with data, come with structure. Help them with all the information so that you're not continuing to kick the can. Like they're going to go, oh, well, I need to know this, this, and this before we can make that decision. Where's that information? And then you have to leave. Weeks go by, then you come back. I mean, business just totally slows down. I don't want you to wait too long. So waiting until that problem explodes is absolutely not leadership. If you're truly at capacity, you don't know what to do next, asking for help early, then that shows awareness and accountability as well, and that you understand the risk of waiting. I wrote a blog probably a year ago now, time's just flying, about the four-letter word wait. I don't like that word. When I would, when there's a project and I want to know where it's the status is, and people would say, well, I'm waiting for XYZ. I'm waiting for ABC. Okay, I get it. Honestly, sometimes we have to wait for other people to get back to us. I get that. But to wait just to throw it like, you sent an email and then you're just putting it in, not your inbox and then you're just waiting. Okay, well, how long ago was that? Have we followed up with them? Like, don't just wait for the sake of now the ball is not in my court, the ball is in somebody else's court. Give them reasonable amount of time to respond, but then you do need to follow up. The fortune literally is in the follow up. Okay. And then, of course, end with next steps. Even if you don't have the absolute solution, I want you to say, what would you like me to do next? I mean, if that's appropriate, right? So that shows fellowship, that shows ownership. When you're going in with the problem, they come back with the solution, and maybe the solution is uh, contacting some other department. It's okay. So I'm gonna go, just so that we're clear. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go contact so and so. And the reason I mentioned that is because I had a boss one time that he wasn't super comfortable with delegating. And it wasn't because he was a control freak at all. He was a servant. And so he would constantly want to serve. And so when you came to him with, hey, I've got a challenge here, and we came up with a solution, he would then take the next steps and take it on himself. Oh, okay, then I'll contact, and he would write it down. But It was too much for him. He really needed to say, you know, reach out to so and so and absolutely direct to that other person and delegate it because that's what they were expected to do anyway. They didn't go in there to plop a dead fish on his desk so he could solve that problem. We just went into his office so that we could get alignment or we could get his opinion on things, but we still had ownership of the action items, or at least that's what we wanted to do. So we had to have that conversation with him too. Like, no, 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 no. I've got this. It's okay. If I have any problems, I'll get back to you. So that's why I say that. But anyway, here's your Grace and Salt coaching moment. And that is Grace says, I value your guidance, right? I value your guidance as the boss. And the Salt says, but I've done my part. That's this whole thing with this philosophy. So are you in school one, which is I want you to bring problems with your solutions, or are you in, school two, school of thought two, which is I have exhausted all of the solutions. I don't have one, and so that's why I'm coming to you with problems. So I'm just curious as to what side of that fence you fall on, but both of them are okay, and both of them just have different approaches. And so that was really what I wanted to bring up today and just start this conversation because I think it's amazing. So your action step today is to think about one problem that you're holding back on. Like use this framework to approach the conversation differently. Prepare, partner, and present with clarity and adjust based on the disc style of that other person. Now, if this episode hit home, I want you to share it with your team or your boss. I do want you to DM me or um, comment in Spotify or on YouTube. Which side of the fence are you on? Does it make sense? Do you have examples? Would you like to share with your comments? I'd love to hear from you. But let's start a conversation about what problem solving expectations look like in your workplace or from your experience. We do have more tools and on leadership communication. You can check out my book, Grace and Salt, which is 12. It's a leadership book on 12 biblical based leadership lessons. You can buy it on Amazon. And you can also go to graceandsaltleadership.com for more information on my services because I would love to help you out if that's something that makes sense for you. All right, have an absolute fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a little boost, share it with your friends to keep the momentum going. And hey, if you're ready to rise, find your voice, and lead with clarity and confidence, we'd love to connect with you. Reach out at graceandsaltleadership.com to learn how Grace and Salt can support your growth. Remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else. Just lead like you. All right, I'll see you next time on the top floor.